as we initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All about the Petty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Petty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. So it looks like we are getting Paul's close neighbors, or not Paul's close neighbors. I think Keith and Jennifer's close neighbors today. Uh, Paul has recycled his baby blue sweater vest. Ugh. So I do have it at 1.25, but I haven't looked other than who the witnesses are. So I'm kind of shocked because I really thought that the state would be ending with that testimony because it was so powerful. But I do think that it was planned to give the jury a break after Wednesday's testimony. And I think that was probably very, very good. Whether that was a part of the, judge or the state or a combination of all the lawyers and the judge together, I think that was a really good idea.
Counsel for the record.
Honor, Assistant Prosecutor Nicole Wallace on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Judge. Chris Decker, Assistant Monmouth County Prosecutor for the state.
Good morning, Your Honor. Monica Mastellone, Mr. Paul Caneiro, who's present.
Good morning, Judge. Andy Murray from Mr. Canerio.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Caneiro. I did not want to bring the jurors out yet because there was an issue. Can I have the attorneys up here for a second?
Yeah, Sebastian, I agree. I thought that both medical examiners did a wonderful job. I do think, for me, I kind of sensed that the female medical examiner was having a rough time, so I was prepared. It was the male doctor who, again, it's always the stoic people that get me. So howdy, JKD Buck. So it does look like we are getting neighbors now, but again, I am just a bit shocked because it seems like Wednesday's testimony would have been a natural end, but maybe there is more that we need to know. Maybe he's a bigger douche than we even imagined, which wouldn't shock me at this point. Oh God, Kim K and Tristan Ponytail. When two minds that equal less than, 10% of one mind get together, they become the Wonder Twins. Y'all, I told you I wasn't going to hold back. I swear they look like they took that yesterday off and doubled down on stupid. Although, congratulations, Milton. This is the first time I've seen you in an outfit that doesn't make you look like a stoner. Welcome for dressing like a grown-up for court. I appreciate it. Oh God, Kim K. Neither side is your good side. I know, it is weird. Howdy, Snipe. Oh my God, Milli Vanilli. Look, your lawyers are doing nothing to help you. The absolute ridiculousness of this man pretending he's taking notes and assisting with anything it is like watching a Hollywood actor explain a complex international political philosophy or situation without knowing anything. Well, that is a wonderful question. I am not sure. I don't know if they aren't showing up. I am not sure. I generally try not to dig into the families of the victim or the families of even the perpetrator, just because they're not on trial to
Ladies and
me.
gentlemen, if you don't mind.
Now, I know that other people do, and I'm not making a moral judgment, but for me, I like to focus on the defendant, so I don't know. I I just I'm kind of the opinion that they didn't do anything wrong, at least that the law can convict, so I don't want to dig into their lives any more than I'm sure all the gross, creepy media people have.
I have to deal with an issue, so I'm going to ask everyone to clear the courtroom for a minute.
Oh, God. Please, Lord.
I will tell you all this, that I'm clearing the physical courtroom. I'm not turning off live stream. I believe next door is live stream. I believe it still is. I'm not sure. Do we know that? Anyone know?
Which one?
Right next door?
The 309 is no longer.
So it's not beyond.
can-
But you can
and
watch it on the
thank
New
you
Jersey
so
Judiciary.
much.
I just
And
can't
have
have
a
you
great
physically
day,
in the courtroom
Bree.
with what I need to do right now. So I don't want you to think that you can't watch it somewhere outside. You just can't watch it in here, okay? And I'll bring you back in before we start. I'll take a break so that you guys can all come back in. I wouldn't do that to you.
Thank you.
I am not sure. So literally when I say I skim ahead, Court TV, and this is why we stick with Court TV, is that they actually do kind of, oh God, it's the defense. Holy crap, we're getting into the defense's case. Oh, for the love of Cheetos, this is going to be stupid. Well, I guess this is a good day to day drink. All right, you guys. So I think the state. So I was correct. Maybe read, Mo, read, because it clearly says defense witness. Godoy. I love that I'm talking to myself like. Anywho. So strap on your helmets. I hope Shizzy has enough for us because the defense is going to put their logic to the test. Tiny baby Jesus. I gave in to temptation and bought all the Theraputty, and I am not joking, all of the Theraputty, fidget spinners, and a whole butt ton of these little animals. I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think I have enough in the way of emotional support, anxiety stuff. Oh Lord. All right, let's continue. Pray for us, tiny baby Jesus. We're gonna need it.
It's okay. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna use my telepathic.
Turn it. Yeah, just number 9. Put him right in his regular seat. Morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
So, something came to my attention in reference to on Wednesday, walking out from the courthouse at the end of the day, that there may have been some conversation that went on between yourself and a sheriff's officer. And I wanted to just hear it from you, if there was any conversation. The way it was relayed to me is that it had to do something with the photographs that were observed on the screen. If you recall, do you recall having some form of a conversation with the sheriff's officer
Yes.
about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell me what the conversation was, please?
Let me think. Oh boy. Jeez.
I probably made reference to the fact that that was.
Juror, I am trying to have the utmost patience with you, but I swear to freaking Jesus, if we have to do a mistrial and I have to sit through the state's case again, I will lose my sanity, okay? So I am not sitting through for more autopsy report. No. No.
Something about the trauma of the photo.
Okay.
And I think I might have said something to him like, I guess this is nothing new for you guys. You probably see this once in a while. I think it was something to that effect. That's what I recall. I don't.
Okay, that's fine. So when you say the trauma of the photo, tell me what you meant by that when you said that.
The trauma that those folks might have probably experienced.
Okay.
And
so
how,
the trauma to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be very fair to this juror, after I just said that, I love that I can argue both sides. Did he do something wrong? Yes, but I can tell you guys, it's a good thing we had yesterday off. I was still in a funky kind of mood yesterday. So if you never have seen anything like that, I get it. I get it. So basically, this juror went up to a sheriff's deputy or one of the bailiffs and said, I guess you see, paraphrasing, I guess you see things like this all the time. I think he just wanted, it is a very human thing to do, though a very dumb jury thing to do.
Tell me how, when you saw the photos, if at all, how it impacted you.
Just sadness.
Okay. Now, we discussed, if you remember, one of the open-ended questions, we discussed this particular issue.
Right.
Because we foreshadowed that this would be something that would come up. And it's my recollection that every one of the jurors had indicated that they would be able to put any emotion aside and be able to still decide this case based upon all the evidence.
It's very easy to think that, and this juror probably, thought, I am a stoic type of person. I don't get rattled by much. And then there's actually sitting there and having to see the photos. So I like this judge. I think that this juror did something wrong and he'll probably get removed. Yes. But I think this is a very human thing to have done. I know I needed to decompress. I had to decompress with Mr. Moe, and the jurors aren't allowed to do that. So I think that this judge will be very, very graceful about it, kind of like the judge in Uvalde was with the witness who got her testimony stricken. So I do hope that this judge is kind with giving him the boot.
And not based on the photos. I just want to make sure you are still comfortable, that you saw what you saw, and that's fine. If you are in any way feeling any sort of way just by looking at those photos, I need for you to tell me now, because obviously it's important to both sides here.
No, I think that happened, and in that moment that happened, and then I was like, okay, just clear it out. It's like, okay, that's what it is, and just move on. I tend to do that. Things can impact me, and then I'll process it, and then just go back to square one, so it doesn't linger.
Okay. So whatever that trauma was to the victims in this case, I need to know that your emotions that you had, even if you put them aside, that you would be able to still decide this case, because you have to decide not.
And to be very, very honest and human with you guys, I would not. Look, I couldn't raise my hand. The minute I found out this was a kid, that was the one big fear when I was called for jury duty. Because I understood it and I was like, Lord, please don't let me get a kid case. And, because I just knew I knew I wouldn't be able to be on the jury for anything like that. I know me, and I know that I can be objective about a whole heck of a lot of things. And I, can be, I can detach emotionally, but not with kids. I can't. So I hope that this judge, uses his good judgment, because the last thing I want is for Paul to have any reason to appeal this.
Not only that these individuals have died, but and also that who the individual was who did this. So I need to make sure that you still have an open mind as to all of the evidence in this case. You're going to evaluate all of it and not just the fact that you're looking at those photos. Are you going to be able to do that?
I feel like I will. Yeah.
Okay. I want to get a little bit more from you if you don't mind.
Sure.
I don't know if it applied to you when we had those voir dire questions. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Phelps, can you keep down, please? Thank you.
I don't know if it applied to you or not, but sometimes when people would answer my questions when we were going through voir dire, if they gave me an answer that maybe it could mean something else, I would ask it again. And so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I heard you, what you just said, but I just want to make sure. I need to know, and both parties need to know, that the photos are not going to impact your overall analysis in this case. So can you say that with certainty that you can do that, or are you still feeling like, yeah, it's still bothering me?
No, I can say it with certainty. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, when it hits you, it hits you. It's like, I mean, there's lots of things through life where if I don't hold it in that moment and then be able to move on, that I'm just captured into the past and I'm ready to move on.
Okay. All right. So you feel like you could still be fair and impartial both to the state and to the defense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Again, I couldn't be to the defense. I am willing to entertain crazy theories. In fact, they're one of my favorite things to listen to. I am a connoisseur of ancient alien, theory. I haven't got into flat Earth because that's a little too stupid for me to enjoy. But, the ancient alien thing, I love it because there is a certain sort of internal logic that kind of defies logic, but still, they have a theory. They're able to argue it. Their facts might be insanely incredible, but, hey, it does help. The problem is that the defenses is an insult to not only creativity, but intelligence.
So now let me ask you this. That conversation that you had with the officer, was there anybody else that was a part of that conversation?
No, he and I were on the back of the line. We were just together.
Okay, so there was nobody else there. And can you tell us about that when you...
I think he's making a fulsome report, but I do think if this judge is going to behave the way I think he will, which is taking into account if this juror stays on and he is part of deliberation, this could definitely be an appellate point. And this is exactly why you have alternates, especially for difficult cases like this, because I don't think that this juror was lying. And I don't think that he's lying now, that he truly believes he can put this behind him. But there is always going to be that assumption that maybe that tipped him over. And to avoid all of that, I do hope that, again, not with meanness or anything, that they kick this juror off. Thank him for his service and, say just to avoid impropriety or even the look of it, we appreciate your service, but you're off the jury.
Talk to him? Was it in a high voice? Was it a low voice? Meaning
Soft.
Soft?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel, based upon what you saw during that conversation, that any of the other jurors heard what you said?
No.
Okay.
I made sure I was far enough back because I didn't want to.
Okay. Let me now take it past the sheriff's officer for a second. Understanding how you felt on Wednesday night, were you able to continue with complying with the charge of not talking to people that night about it or talk to anybody else about it? You had to kind of keep it to yourself. Were you able to do that? If you weren't, I understand. But
I mentioned a couple of things to my wife about it was a heavy day. That was about.
And again, we are asking the jury. We all got the opportunity to go home and decompress or, go to a different stream and have fun. Maybe say, gosh, dang it. I do think that there might need to be additional support given extremely traumatizing trials. I feel like, and I don't know how to do this, but maybe there should be a nonpartisan therapist that they can just go in and talk to, or a therapy dog. Give all of Loki. I know you're ticked off at me. See, you give every juror a therapy Loki. He is a lounge potato. He basically has no spine or form because if he doesn't want to move, he will simply go boneless. So I I really hope that we can figure out a different way to do this, especially with all of the forward movement on mental health. There has to be a way that we can understand what we're asking the jury to do is incredibly hard. And if we've made concessions that mental health is a big thing, then yeah, maybe, there is a way that we can offer some sort of comfort or support for jurors who have to see these incredibly heinous things. We're asking a lot of them. I don't know, that's for smarter, more legally people, but it does seem to be a need, especially for the last two trials.
Got it.
You just said heavy day?
Every day, yeah.
Did you say anything more than that?
I said that they showed photos today and it was really impactful.
Okay.
And she wanted to know more. I said, but she does, no, I know you can't talk about it.
Okay. Did she make any comments to you as a result of what you said?
No,
Okay. All right. Is there anything about the conversation that you had with your wife that you feel that could impact you and your ability to be fair and impartial? in
oh,
this case?
no, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Separate and apart from this conversation, is there anything else that has happened during the course of this trial? Any emotions that have come up that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial?
No,
Okay. Do you feel like you can sit on this jury and decide this case, continue on?
I do.
Okay. Any doubt in your mind?
No,
Judge.
no. I mean, even when Wednesday happened, I was still locked into like objectivity. It was, so yeah, I feel competent.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. This is between the four walls, so if you don't mind, we're going to
Oh, Mr. Moe on jury duty, I am like, "Do-do-do-do-do." I am live streaming this. I mean, let's be real here. And I would be, actually, I just feel bad for Mr. Moe if he got one of these terrible trials, because as much as I joke like I'd be getting all the inside, no, I respect our jury system, so I would probably just try to be supportive and watch house with him. Or maybe I would, make him feel helpful and useful, like by putting up something with thumbtacks again. Yeah, Beach Girl, I'm getting the subtle vibe from the judge that he is not so much buying what this witness is saying, but again, I think he's giving him the respect of asking him the questions, and then they're going to talk, and obviously the defense is going to say, we need to chuck him. This judge seems like a judge that's very capable of being gentle and not making this juror feel bad, even though he broke the rules. But it's a human sort of thing, and we have alternates for this, so
keep this here. I'm not going to say anything to them, so please don't tell them either. And let me ask you this, just to round it out. Have you heard anyone else talking about the trial or anything else, or make any comments to you about those pictures or anything?
Folks in here?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Just, people are just, you got looks and we're like exchanging information just through our eyes. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, but no one said anything about it? Okay. All right, you can go back in the jury room. Thank you,
Sorry
sir.
for
There's nothing to be sorry about, sir. Thank you, though. I appreciate your honesty.
I really like this judge. Again, he could have been a hard ass. He could have been very, very upset because this juror broke the rules. But I think he's going to be very kind and get him off the jury, please.
Anything anyone want to put on a record? I feel comfortable with what he said.
Same for the stages.
Okay. Defense?
Nothing else happened.
Okay. For the record purposes, after listening to juror number 9, I found him to be very credible in his responses to me. I found that under the circumstances that
Kent, Judge Kent, I just got done praising you. I'm gonna need you to look at me dead in the eyes, sir, because I've liked you and I've not made fun of your endless use of cough wrappers. But I swear to all that is holy and unholy, goodly and hoodly, if you let this man file for appeal because you let this juror stay on the jury, I am going to lose the very last little bit of washed in the blood I have today.
The pictures, they showed what they showed. And we, as the attorneys and the court, we looked at question number one to the jurors and asked them specifically because we knew that these photos could have impact. This juror remained consistent with what his answers was back during voir dire. I don't have any concerns about him and his ability to be fair and impartial in this case. I do not find in any way, shape, or form that there's been any impact on any of the other jurors. I find that the sheriff's officer and the juror were back away from the rest of the jurors, that the other jurors didn't hear those two comments that were made. And based upon that, I'm going to allow juror number 9 to continue on with our case, and we'll see where, if he ends up being a part of our case or not. Nobody knows until the alternate.
Thank you, It's Bree. I was just like, oh, why do I feel like this is a setup for a future appeal? But they didn't object to it, you're right, so... Oh... Mo, when I was called up to where there are a casing, one where there were 3 children and another assault, I ended up on an assault case. The children went for 20 weeks and the jurors ended up, yeah, we're asking a lot of regular people, and that's how we keep our criminal justice system of the people, by the people. But it's also a toll, and especially for the most monstrous people. There really needs to be, again, I'm not saying that therapy cats would solve everything, but if we don't want the jurors to talk to someone or anything like that, then I think having a service animal or several in the jury room might be a good alternative.
Are picked after the charge is given to the jury. With that being said, is there anything else we need to do before we go back and bring the jurors out?
No, but Judge, I just need to remind the court the state needs to rest.
No, I do. I remember that. Okay. But anything other than that?
No, sir.
Anything else from the defense before I bring them back out? Okay. I just don't want to bring them out and then us come right to sidebar in 2 seconds. So if there's something, let's just do it now. We're good? Okay. All right. We can bring them out. Thank you.
We're really excited to come on out.
You see, I've been out here for a while.
You beat us for once.
It would have been fun if you guys knocked on the door and said that you were ready.
Next time, I didn't know we were allowed.
You guys were not. All right, we're just going to allow everyone back in.
No, it's putty. It's not food.
Did anyone see we might get snow again this weekend?
It's Wednesday. Wednesday's snow day.
Isn't it enough? Did we get enough? We can't get rid of the old stuff.
I thought you were going to indict somebody, Mother Nature.
Yeah, well, listen, Mother Nature's not listening. It's kind of like the story of my life. Nobody listens to me. All right.
I love this, Judge.
Let's just give it one more second. I apologize. I should have done that before I asked you to come out. Okay, we're back on the record. I already put the caption on the record earlier. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to the state.
Thank you, Judge. Subject to the moving of evidence, the state rests.
Okay, the state rests at this point in time. At this point in time, we'll move over to...
And honestly, that's what I thought was going to happen. So I think that the state strategically is ending on 2 very powerful witnesses. Yeah, I guess I'm guessing the Lightning are a hockey team, not a soccer team, right? Or a lacrosse team. Does lacrosse have a goalie? I don't know. Look, that seems like a bougie sport, and y'all know I don't even know sports, so
The defense case, the defense can call their first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense would call Dr. Jack Gould.
Good morning, sir. Just watch your step as you're coming up.
what in the Phil Donahue is going on here? I did this woman honestly think that she would have a Matlock moment if she got a guy as a witness who looked like Matlock? This isn't the transitive property. It's not osmosis. You don't look smart just because you get a guy who looks kind of like Phil Donahue or Matlock.
Mind, sir, if you could put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and once can you
Okay, quick guesses from the chat. What kind of doctor is he? Is he a medical doctor? And if so, what specialty is it? And then if he's not a, doctor, what, educational field is he a PhD in? I'm guessing gastroenterology. He's a GI doctor. No, the judge was convinced by the juror and said that he felt that he was able to be impartial, and so he's still on the case. I don't know that I agree with that, but the defense did not object. So this is the defense's case. God help us. May the power of... Okay, so we're not missing anything. It's the defense's case in chief. So we're going to take, because we are shaming Mo, because in anticipation of more craptastic, testimony, I may or may not have bought myself all of the silly putty. No, you 2 cans isn't bad. No. But there's more. Mr. Mo was like, "How anxious are you?" And I was like, "Well, My son was incredibly impressed, though, because I got a bunch of fidget spinners, and he's like, "You might be the coolest mom ever." And I was like, "I know. I am the most awesomest mom." So I'm cool for my kids. But, because I found that when I'm not taking notes, I tend to get very fidgety with my hands. So I was like, "Ooh, I need silly putty." And then I was on Amazon and listening to craptastical testimony, and I thought, you know what? I deserve this. And then I kept clicking buttons.
get seated, get comfortable. Can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Jack Gould, last name Gould.
Sir, I'm just going to ask for you to do me a favor, okay? When you speak, when you're testifying, please make sure you keep your voice up. Jurors number 15 and 16, they got to be able to hear everything that you're saying, so just keep your voice up, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, when you're ready, Ms. Massalone.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Gould.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Stand up.
Oh, no, you can remain seated.
My name is Jack Gould. I'm a local physician in Monmouth County.
And what is your educational background?
I did my undergraduate work as a microbiologist at Rutgers College. From there, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry and then went off to medical school at the University of Medicine and Dentistry. And then I did my residency in obstetrics and gynecology at Monmouth Medical Center.
And
He's a gynecologist. Well, that explains why I got a cold chill and thought of stirrups when I saw him. I was just trying to be kind and not say that he was a proctologist. But that explains why I had an inherent distrust of him immediately. Because I don't, look, no OB, don't need it.
Do you currently live in Monmouth County?
Yes.
Who do you live with?
I currently live with my wife, Pam. Pam Gould.
Okay, so I want to first talk to you about how you know the Caneiro family. Do you know Paul Caneiro and his family?
Yes.
And who is in Paul's immediate family?
Wife Susan and 2 daughters, Marissa and Katie.
And how do you know them?
They were my neighbors for 23 to 25 years.
Okay, and when did it start? When did you first meet them? What year?
Met in the spring of '96, and they moved in approximately 6 months after we moved in.
Okay, and when you say neighbors, where was your house physically located in comparison to Mr. Caneiro's?
They were directly, our back sides of both our houses, we were directly behind their house.
And
You were backdoor neighbors? But ching. Also, it's never the swingers you hope it'll be. It's always people that look like this and Paul. And you're like,
what was your address at the time?
19 Oxford Drive.
That address may sound familiar, so let me just ask you this. Were you involved in this investigation at all?
Only in the fact that I had been requested to offer video surveillance for my cameras.
oh my God, this guy is the guy that has the deck that shows Paul like driving out, coming back home, and then the fire starting. Such a quinkadink. Oh my God. Again, I'm just going to let people know that I will be the one neighbor that buries you. Like, don't do crime in my neighborhood, because I would be the one neighbor on CNN. Let me tell you, I knew he had someone in his basement. Look, every time I would see him walking down the street, I said, there goes Buffalo Bill. And no one would believe me. They kept saying, you just watch too much, Law and Order SVU. And I'm like, nope. No. That man has a gimp mask, and that man has danced naked to Goodbye Horses.
And did you ultimately provide the surveillance to the detectives that I asked?
Yes.
And we've seen that. Were you involved in this investigation in any other way?
No.
And was
I have no idea who she is, but I would love to. I do a lot of pop culture references because it's kind of my secret addiction. I'm not going to lie to you. I have a secret, like, not so much Hollywood, but pop culture and how it goes into greater social zeitgeist. It's kind of my weird people watching from 50,000 feet. I'm going to take this as a compliment. You're welcome.
Is there anything with respect to the investigation that you would have added?
Yeah, it was kind of odd because when all this was going on, this would be on the 20th, I was actually in my office watching, because I had cameras watching what was going on, and they were going from one backyard to the other backyard, back and forth, and I realized they were talking to my wife, and when they pointed at the cameras, I kind of realized I'd be getting a visitor at my office. They showed up, they asked for the video information, but they never actually even asked if I had known Paul. They never asked any questions about it, and our backyards were kind of odd because we had a little walkway with...
Why is De Niro playing a gynecologist from New Jersey? I feel like he's like, okay, Fokker, milk a cat. I just feel like he's going to say something like that. And honestly, I'd rather be watching that show than whatever the defense is attempting to do here. Why the hell is the defense calling a witness whose video evidence pretty much implicates Paul? I have no idea. Are you going to tell me that the state doctored the video?
Pergolas and kind of grapevines, and they were putting up crime scene tape, but they never asked what was with the connection between the 2 yards, which was kind of odd.
Was it like a custom?
Yeah, it was custom pergolas, and I've made it look nice so that families could go back and forth easily.
Okay. So, let's talk about that information that, I want to talk about the information.
You wanted to spend more time with Paul? Okay, I immediately discount all the rest of your testimony because you obviously aren't the litmus test for normal, since you obviously have a broken douche dar. I'm sorry, but I will not take advice or evidence from anyone who wanted to spend more time with Paul.
That you have about the Caneiro family. But since you mentioned the surveillance cameras, I just want to talk about that briefly. Who installed your cameras, your surveillance system?
I did the actual installation of the cameras, and I did the hardwiring of all the coaxial cables to the main DVR that I had set up. Unfortunately, once I had it all set up, I couldn't get it to stream through the router, the modem. I just couldn't get it to actually work. So I contacted Paul and had him come over to do all the internet protocols or whatever needed so that I could stream it through the firewall.
Okay.
Wait, so again, defense. Tell me how this mother effing witness at all helps you, because at this point, the state could argue that Paul specifically set up this security system and remembered what he input in the protocols to avoid being caught on that camera. Now, that would require Paul to be smart and be better at crime, but okay, let's continue. Paul helped set up the security system that he forgot about when he decided to light his own house on fire. My client is not a moron. Facts not in evidence.
So, was there any type of system that he put in place for you?
Along the way, he had set up for internet security. He did a external hard, I guess it would be a router firewall that I used Square One to manage, just so I didn't have to worry about anything happening to my system. Unfortunately, I didn't understand how it worked. He did, so I would always have him take care of any problems that occurred. And one of them was trying to get the video cameras to work.
Was there something with like an app?
Paul, would you please set up my security system that happens to abut next to your house? Well, sure, I did that, just like I paid Canada Life. Again, how does this not make your client look worse, ma'am? He legitimately doesn't know squat about computers, can't do fuck all for Square One, to the point that he's basically left poor little cold hands man with a speculum, without security. Sir, I know you were subpoenaed to be here, but I would be throwing Paul so under the bus. All you'd hear would be beep, 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 ka-thunk, and then forward, and then beep, beep, beep. I mean, it'd basically just be back beeping.
Acronym that he used?
He set up it's a DDNS, and I know it has to do with changing IP addresses, but I don't understand it. He did.
Okay. So you mentioned you don't understand it. Is this something that's is it simple or is it more complex?
To me, it was complex.
Okay. And did Mr. Paul Caneiro ever set up any access points in your house anywhere?
He set up an access point over our garage because it was too far away from the antennas for our router, and this way.
100% Paul has nude photos of this man in the shower. I'm just saying, he put like a key monitor, and he knows exactly what kind of prawn you like, sir. And I really hope it doesn't involve speculums, because that's just gross. But you seem the type.
My wife had her office up there, and it allowed us to have better internet access at that end of the house.
And so returning to the Caneiro family.
Yes.
I want to focus on that. When you mentioned you first met the Caneiro family in 1996, how soon after they moved into their home at 27 Tilton did you meet them?
I actually saw the day they moved in, and I probably met Paul the next day or within 2 days. He was in his backyard, so I went in my backyard just to kind of chit-chat with him.
And how did that conversation go?
Okay, this is the part you need to explain to an introvert, because I see a new person and I'm like, I'll leave a, plate of cookies when I see that they're gone so I don't have to talk to them. But Yeah, I see a new person I don't know who's shaped like Paul. I don't go out of my house to meet them. That is not a me thing. Now, Mr. Mo and the three Walmart greeters that we made between us, they'll go out and say hi. They are like the golden retriever, aggressively friendly kind of people. And I'm like, I'm gonna need to do a psychological profile before I go meet them because I don't know.
It actually went very well. I'm a firm believer after about 5 to 10 minutes of talking to somebody, you can get a good flavor if this is somebody you can continue a conversation with. And
Okay, Hannibal Lecter. Okay, I kind of like you now better. You know, what do people go with? What seasoning is the best? Is it a Mrs. Dash? Is it a like a Cajun rub? I, sir, you're actually starting to get more interesting. Please do continue about how to make leg of Paul, because I would be interesting.
I could. It was very comfortable. We had very similar likes and a very similar personality. You know, sense of humor actually matched very well.
And did you see anyone help the Canero family that day move in when you saw them?
When I actually saw Paul was coming in with his, he had his brother Keith with him, and Keith was carrying some stuff in with him.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to mask the flavor. God dang it. No, you laugh, Boosh, but it is the exact reason I never got into Starbucks. Well, first, I don't really like coffee. But the second thing is that it requires too much peopling. First, I have to figure out 27 steps to get a gosh darn cup of coffee. But then they ask you your name. I'm like, this is a drive-through. I don't ask you your name. I don't ask you your stuff. Don't ask me my stuff. I legitimately avoid Starbucks because they will ask me my name. Yes, I can give them a fake one, but no, that is altogether too much peopling. I'm giving you $8 for this ridiculous cup of coffee. Could you please just not ask me my name? Okay. No, I just refuse to engage. Now, if it were a shake, like if it was a really good shake, like a now, I will say Portillo's has the best that chocolate cake shake, but I don't know how anyone eats an actual meal and then gets one of those because holy giblets was that rich. Very good, but I felt my first diabetes sweat after that.
Now, over time, can you explain to us how your relationship developed with the Canero family? And I'm referencing Paul, Susan, and their daughters at this point.
It turned out that Paul had 2 daughters, and I had a daughter and a son, and they were both, well, 4 of them were within a year of each other. So there was Marissa, my daughter, and then Katie and my son. So they were all pretty much in the same age bracket. They were going to be going to the same school system. And they started, because the backyards were next to each other, were playing with each other constantly. And then because of that, my wife and Susan were around. They would actually start supervising the children. And then on the weekends, when Paul was around, we'd all get together. The children would play. And it was almost like a common backyard. They would run back and forth from house to house. And we would kind of just sit on a deck and just watch them play. And as time went on, you get friendlier and friendlier, and you get to know each other a lot better.
So, over the years, how often would you say you saw the Canero family?
In the summertime, especially when the children were up in the warmer weather, it would probably be almost every weekend or every other weekend. Somebody would either have a barbecue, even if it was just throwing hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill. Because kids were out playing, it was better to be outside than inside. So every week to 2 weeks.
And so, would you consider yourself and your family close to Paul and his family?
It got to the point where it would be like considered extended family.
Jesus, don't say that. Have you seen what he did to his close family? Jesus, Mary and Joseph, that's like making yourself any way related to Charles Bronson in a Death Wish movie. You're not coming out fucking alive. Don't put yourself in the family category with Paul. You're safer as a friend. Dude, step back from the family line. Jesus. Also, defense, what is your point? So he could be a good neighbor, but if he had access to your money and you were his brother, No, this is his backdoor neighbor. So the footage we actually saw of the back of the house and the car coming out of the driveway and coming back in prior to Paul's house lighting on fire. This is actually the house they got that video evidence from. The next witness for the defense is going to be this dude's wife. Now, character evidence wouldn't be the way I would go with this, especially after, again, I want you guys to remember Wednesday. I don't give two shits in a handbasket if Paul and his wife and this dude and his wife Speculum and Mr. Speculum and Mrs. Speculum had the greatest time. They were the bestest of friends, and in 1984 they held hands across fucking America. That doesn't do anything for me. And to the audacity to throw this person on as a character witness after what we saw happen to those children, it is the most art-tarded way to start a case that I've ever seen in my entire life, but I expected nothing less.
And did your families ever become close to the extent that you would celebrate holidays together?
Yeah, we got in the habit very early on. All Christmases would be celebrated at Paul's house, mainly because I'd be on call a lot for Christmas, so I may or may not be there. So we did the Christmases over at Paul's house, then New Year's, we would alternate one house to the other. He would host it, or I would host it. And on these events, you could invite anybody or any family members, anybody. And then as it got warmer weather, Labor Day, Memorial Day, we would have outdoor barbecues, and either he would host one or we would.
Now, who else would typically be at these barbecues or the holiday events?
A lot of times we would be there, Keith would be there with Jen. And early on it was just Keith and Jen, but as time went on, they had children. So then Jesse and Sophia would be there. Sometimes if Katie or Marissa had friends, they would come over. My children would also be over there, and if they had friends, they would come over. Occasionally, the parents, Paul's parents would be there from time to time.
And do you know Jim and Stacy Pritchett, would they be there as well?
They would be there also.
Did you ever see Corey at any of these gatherings?
Corey was there, but not as often as everybody else. So I would say he was there maybe 10 to 15% of the time. He wasn't there all the time, but he would be there occasionally.
And who is Elisa?
Elisa was Corey's girlfriend, which led up to, I think they got married at some point in time, but I don't know when.
And how often did you see her?
If I saw her once or twice in the 23 years, that's about it.
Now, in addition to holidays, you mentioned, I think, barbecues and other types of like Labor Day, Memorial Day events. Did you ever socialize with the Caneiro family in any other capacity?
Yeah, especially because the kids really got along great. We got along great. We did go on a couple of vacations to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and we also went to Turks and Caicos.
Objection, relevance. Oh my God, can you imagine Paul in a swim trunks? Ew, I feel bad for Turks and Caicos. Haven't they suffered enough? Giblets, ew. And you gave me that mental image, and I have a ew.
Both families together.
Okay. Now, based on how well you knew Paul, how would you describe Paul?
Very well educated, very well read, easygoing. Someone you could have a conversation on almost any topic, and you could have an ongoing conversation.
Oh my God, we get it, Samwise Gamgee. He's your Frodo. He's like, yes, master, I'll go to Mount Doom with you. If Frodo was a psychopath.
Calm enough that you could make jokes and not worry that you offended him. He kind of rolled with the punches, and
yeah, it's kind of hard to offend someone who murdered 4 people in cold blood. It's, it's shocking what their lines can be, what really offends them. Jesus, the defense thinks this is going well. Holy crap. Holy crap.
had a very pleasant personality, never got angry, never got upset. And, he was good with the kids. It's an enjoyable experience.
He was great with the kids until he motherfucking murdered 2 of them. Holy God. I am so sorry, you guys. Look, it's Friday, and if you have breadstick money, you might need to donate to the swear jar, because I'm guessing this is going to go red or yellow. You have been warned.
It's good.
Would you describe Paul as a helpful person?
Most definitely. He was very good with his hand.
He helped himself to his brother's money.
And He had a pool. At one point in time, he put a pool and we had a pool. So if I ever had pump problems with my pool, he would come over and essentially show me how to adjust, my pool. If I had any electrical issues, he would come over. And if I had troubles with IT stuff, he would actually run the wires and then, call actually to the company and switch things over just so that instead of using coaxial cable, we would use Cat5. And if I had problems outside with drainage, he would come over and talk to me about how the best way to run drainage things.
And I think you mentioned that when you were describing Paul, he like more of a calm personality. Can you
Yes.
explain that more?
We have young kids running around doing what young kids do. He never raised his voice. I never had an argument with him. We never argued about anything. Never heard him argue with anybody. He was just a very calm individual. I don't have a better way to say it, but
And now you mentioned that you also had the occasion to meet Keith and Jennifer. It sounds like many times.
many times. We never went on vacation with them, but they were always over at Paul's house, so we did socialize with them frequently.
Okay, look, man who has the testosterone of, I think, an octo or septuagenarian squared, or actually doubled. Yeah, squared is doubled. Fuck. I'm not a mathologist. Anywho, he gutted children. I don't care if he was nice to you and gave you half of his Groupon. You live next to evil. Yes, it was nascent. Yes, it was in its, embryonic stage, but you lived next to it as it grew and grew. And I bet if you took those rose-colored glasses off, you would realize that Paul changed, became more jealous, more materialistic over the years. Maybe you did too, so it's not a mirror you like holding up to yourself. But that friend you thought you knew was a mask. And I know that sucks to think about, knowing you're a highly intelligent person and you got fooled. But no, the person that you're talking about never existed. Or if he did, he died the night he drove 20 minutes to his brother's house, had 16 more minutes as he disabled the electricity, and then took his brother's life, took his brother's wife's life, and took his niece and nephew's life. So that Paul, whoever you're talking to or about, doesn't exist.
And based on your observations and your experience with the Caneiro family, including Paul, Susan, their daughters, and Keith, Jennifer, and their daughters, how would you describe the relationship between Paul and Keith?
Exceptionally close. I mean, some people would even say they were like fused at the hips. They could talk about many different things, always joking, laughing. They had a very close, caring relationship. You could feel that they cared for each other. And even if they were partners in the business, and even if they were talking about a client, it was a quick conversation, and then they moved on to something else.
And how would you describe, like, Paul, the way that Paul would speak about Keith, or?
Protective. And I remember, if Keith ever had a problem with something going on at his house, Paul, this happened once we were out at lunch. If something was going on at Keith's house, Paul would say, as soon as we're done, we have to drive over to the house. He's got to set up something that was a pool timer that needed to be adjusted. Paul would drop what he was doing and go over.
So, was it your impression that Paul would, you mentioned earlier he was helpful.
Yes.
Does that include being helpful to Keith? like you
Let's
said?
go to the state. Dear God, I want to physically get ill because every time he's talking about how great Paul is, I'm just flashing back to that testimony Wednesday, and it's so repugnant. It's so incredibly repugnant, and I warned the defense, this is not what you want to do.
That's a nice way to describe it, yes.
Corey was a bunch younger than Keith and Paul, right?
7 years, I think,
Yeah, 7 or 8, right?
in that ballpark, yes.
Because Keith and Paul are like 1 year apart, right?
Mhm.
So there was a significant age gap there, right?
Yes.
And Corey wasn't even married yet, right? When you first met him, you said?
When we first met him, no.
Now, you talked about electrical issues or electrical work that was being done and how Paul would go over to Keith's house and he was helping him out with some of these electrical issues and things like that, right?
I don't know if it was
Jackson,
specifically
that's not what
electrical
he
issues.
said. He said it was a pool issue.
He did say something about electrical, so I'm gonna.
That was Paul's renovations.
Kim K, shut the hell up, sit the hell down. Your retarded behind brought him up, and he brought up electricity. So, oh my gosh, does that mean that Paul might have experience in working with electronical stuff? Like, he would be the one person that maybe would know how to disable electrical, boxes. Yeah, you brought that out on your direct, dingbat. Objection, this is really bad for my case.
Your objection is overruled. Whatever you remember is what you said is what matters to us. What was it about electrical that you recall that Paul would do? That's all we want to know.
Paul's house, he had some guy coming in, changing all the light bulbs to LEDs and all the light switches so that they could be operated through an app on his phone.
Paul was obviously very tech savvy, correct?
Most definitely.
Probably more than you, right?
Most definitely.
I'm sure more than me.
Sustained.
He was more tech savvy than most people you knew. Is that accurate?
Right.
I mean, you had issues with your cameras. He was able to come over and try to figure it out, right?
Either would come over, or if I had computer issues, we actually had overlapping wireless networks. Sometimes he would just fix it from his patio.
Oh my God, JKD Buck, he was totally stealing the electric.
Remotely?
And the Wi-Fi.
And you said he would go over to Paul. You did say he would go over to Keith's house sometimes and help out with stuff, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of stuff?
The one example I can tell you, just because I remember I was with Paul, we were out at a restaurant having lunch, and he goes, I got to go over to Keith's house and adjust, I think it was either a light or a setting to the pool. And he goes, do you want to come on over with me? And I said, yeah, I'd love to see the house and get a tour.
So you've been to Keith's house, correct?
Yes.
And you've been to Paul's house, I imagine, many times, right?
Many times.
And when was the last time you think you were
Have
there
a
prior
great
to the
lunch,
fire?
Wolfram. Thank you for all of your modeling
At Paul's
mod
house,
duties.
yes. Probably September. Well, the fire was September, October, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't remember the exact date.
Okay, I understand. You were in the basement during the course of your times at 27 Tilden?
Yes.
Okay. And were you in the basement, like, close in time to November 20th of 2018 when the fire happened?
Probably the last time I was down in the basement would have been in the summer, maybe, but not close to the fire.
Describe the basement for us.
You would go down the steps. To the right was a area, I guess, where the kids would be playing in. They had a play area. If you went over more to the right, there was an enclosed area which he had kind of an entertainment area with a TV and music. If you went down the steps and you turned to the left, you went through doors, and that's where he had, I guess the best way to say it would be like a hobby doing gunsmithing, so he kept the gunsmithing equipment down there.
Okay.
And then if you went further down, there was another area where he had some water purification systems and storage cabinets.
You said gunsmithing. What do you mean?
He owned firearms, and sometimes if they needed to be worked on or looked at, he would actually clean them, repair them, take them apart.
Did you ever shoot firearms with Mr. Caneiro?
Yes.
Okay, where'd you do that?
At that time, I think Paul had 2 memberships.
Okay.
And they were more outdoor ranges, and I had a membership in Lakewood at an indoor range.
At Sure Shot?
Yes.
Okay. Did he have a membership at Sure Shot?
I don't remember if he had a membership because you could bring guests, so I'm not really sure.
Those outdoor ranges. There's an outdoor range, like almost like across the street from Tilden Drive, right?
Yeah.
Gun Club Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's nearby, right?
Yes.
Did you ever go there with Mr. Caneiro?
No, I had been there for a safety course, but I did not go with Paul.
Can I have the back table for a moment?
Oh God,
I just
please.
want to show you a couple photos, just for context, if you don't mind.
Oh my God, please tell me they have selfies like, we're
And
bros.
I'm just going to ask you if you recognize what that shows. And you recognize that area?
Yes.
And what's that?
That's the front of Paul's house.
Okay. And what's in the back here?
Right here?
Yeah.
My house.
That's your house. I just want to make sure. Can I have S1A slide 3? It's going to be on the screen. Okay, so, Doctor, you just pointed it out here. Could you just explain what we're looking at here? And you can use that pen if you'd like.
Right. This is the front of Paul's house, and this is the back end of my house. The northern side would be over here.
I don't know why that thing is not more.
That's okay.
It usually does. Where screen is. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look up here. The house that's kind of in the majority of the photo is 27 Tilton, correct?
Yes.
And then just like kind of over top the garage with the 3 windows on the left, that's your house in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just, if I could, I'm going to show you going to show you slide 6 of S1A. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what's that show?
That is actually the northern side of Paul's house where the garage doors are.
Okay, so north is up to the left, right?
Yes.
Your house would be east, right? Okay, can I have slide 6, please? Okay, so when we're looking at that photo, if you could just kind of just explain, now that the jury can see it.
Okay. This is the back where Paul's garage is. My house would be back here. Way up here was where my wife's office was, and this is the other part of our house.
Okay. All
Or
right.
his
working at all.
defense.
It's not, Judge.
I'm
sorry.
talking to Dave now.
Sorry. It's not right. These are Mr. Canero.
Technology.
Sorry. Dr. Good, those are Mr. Canero's cars in the driveway, right?
They're his cars, your daughter's cars,
Oh.
but they're owned by the
They
Canero
belong
family.
at that residence?
Yes.
Okay. And your cameras are on the back, you have cameras, you had a bunch of cameras in the
Yes,
house, right?
yes, I did.
But there was 2 on the back, right?
There was a camera that was here. I'm trying to think, this was the main camera. I did have another camera, but it was inside the house, facing outward, and there was a camera on the other side of the house. When I was installing the cameras, I had asked Paul's advice, and every main entry point had a camera on it.
Okay, I'm going to stop us for a second. Can you guys just go in the jury room for a second? Don't discuss the case. Don't do any research. I want to fix this issue so that I want to make sure that we can get this captured. Doctor, you can take a seat. Our IT person.
Oh, defense, it could be going worse for you, but it almost couldn't be possible. What were they hoping to gain with this person?
I just want you to know I could have fixed it myself, but I didn't want to show off.
Sure. Would you turn it off, turn it back on again?
All right, we're good to go now. Mr. Tucker, I'm going to ask for you to step back. Yeah, and I'd like for you to step back to the picture before, because there was conversation about that we did not capture, so that the record is clear. I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Judge, of course. Can I go back to slide 3, please? Doctor, we're going to go back to that first slide, number 3, which is on the screen now in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Could you just put an X on, like, the 27 Tilton residence? There you go. And then when we talked about your house, can you put like a Y over top or something? Okay, great, thank you.
All right, so we'll mark that is slide 3. I don't know what point we're on with that one. It's a couple other pictures there. Do you know, Anna?
I don't know. There's a delay, Mike.
Oh, that's okay. So I just want to confirm that it's 3 point something. I don't have my latest for that slide.
Your Honor, it's 2.
3.2? Thank you. All right, so 3.2.
Okay, can we highlight the 2 MVPs of this trial? As much as I have dogged on everyone in this trial, these 2 ladies right here have been making sure that the state has all the papers they need, all of the records, and that all of the slides are brought up, the videos are brought up, and really making the state look very polished. So we salute you, ladies. Thank you. Milton from the defense table offering a whole lot of nothing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Can we go back to slide 6 now, please? So we're looking at S1A, slide 6. And again, you referenced where your house was. Can you put a Y over there again? Thank you, Doctor. And then this is the...
What in the name of Dr. Handwriting? Could you possibly make a Y correct? No wonder women stopped going to you. That's what you think a Y looks like. Can't imagine your episiotomies, Jesus.
garage, I think, of 27 Tilton, right?
Yes.
You put like a G there or something? Great, thank you. And then you said that the 2 white cars, they belong to there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't know which one was specifically whose, but they both belonged at the residence?
Yes.
And you referenced one of the cameras from the back of your house that was like on the back of your house, correct?
Correct.
Could you put like a little circle? Like, I know you
had
may not be able to see it,
a
but...
camera right here.
Okay.
And there was a window here, and on the inside, there was a camera that faced directly out.
Okay.
But
Yes. You want to go a little above it with an arrow, maybe it'll actually mark better. There you go.
Perfect.
Thank you, Doug. And with respect to that camera footage, you testified that you ultimately, you gave it to the police, right?
Yes.
All the cameras from your home?
whatever they asked for.
Okay. And ultimately, they took it and they ultimately looked at it.
That was funny.
You imagine, right?
Yes.
Did you look at any of the footage prior to turning it over to the police?
No.
How about afterwards?
Yes, but it wasn't until a few weeks afterwards, just because being on call, and I just never really wanted to look at it.
we,
We did check it a few weeks.
Jesus, defense again. Defense, this is your witness. These are things maybe you should have asked him and brought out. Like, oh my goodness, did you look at the video footage that you gave to the police? The reason the defense didn't ask is obviously this man has a lens of friendship through which he sees Paul, and he is unwilling to change that, thereby showing that he's not a good judge of character. And really, it's not that you're not a good judge of character. Paul is just a master liar. But rather than just humbly say, I was wrong, and admit to yourself that this monster was able to deceive you, you have decided to stick with Paul was my bestest friend, so I'm not even going to look at the video evidence I gave to the state that proves he's mother effing guilty. Defense, this has been a stellar first witness. Just when I thought you had reached the height of fuck-uppery, you just limbo right under the bar. Yes, we've already seen it in the state's case, and it in fact shows Paul leaving when he did, coming back when he did, and then the fire starting after he got back.
Later.
sorry. Can we just save that 6.3?
When you looked at it, did you see a car leave at 2:08 in the morning from that 27th building driveway?
When they originally asked for the video footage, I gave them the original, but then they asked for another set. So I saw a car coming back on the first set, and it wasn't until maybe weeks later that I saw the second, what they requested for, and that's when I saw a car leaving.
You saw a car leaving the driveway at 27th building in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Early morning hours?
Yes,
It's about 2:08.
it would be timestamped on the,
Did you see the car come back about 2 hours later?
yes.
Did you see when the fire first became visible on the back of 27th building?
Not when it, on the camera or in reality?
On the camera.
Yes.
You weren't up when the fire started, right? Okay.
Sir, I'm going to need you to pay attention. Now, a normal person who wasn't trying to avoid watching the video, and look, I get it, very human. I mean, you don't want to think that you can be deceived this much by someone very close to you. So I get the hesitation. I get all of that. I am not personally related, nor did I ever think of Paul in a favorable manner. So I get that he's grieving the loss of the person he thought he knew, but at a certain point, I mean, we're on day 15, okay? The state has had a lot of mother effing evidence, all right? They didn't just, it's not a witch hunt.
You weren't up when the time when the car left 27th building?
No.
You weren't up when the car came back to 27th building, correct?
Correct.
And obviously, you talked about the relationship between Paul and Keith Caneiro, right?
Yes.
And they were close, correct?
Yes.
They were a year apart, they were brothers, right?
Yes.
But obviously, I mean, you acknowledge, Doctor, that you weren't privy to all their conversations, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you weren't privy to all their, personal conversations, right?
Correct.
As well as you weren't privy to all the inner workings of the two of them as they related to like owning businesses together, correct?
Correct.
And you obviously mentioned Square One, right? Yeah,
Correct.
sorry, you just gotta say it for the record. And EcoStar, right?
Yes.
And did you know the dynamics of like who owned how much of what?
No.
Okay, Paul never told you the dynamics of the majority versus the minority of, say, Square One?
We were good friends, and I didn't really want to pry into his business affairs.
Okay, so you didn't pry into his business affairs?
No.
Okay, so you didn't talk about any loans he took or anything like that?
He indicated he doesn't know.
I don't know what the loan is for, if it's personal or if it's, if you know.
I didn't ask any questions or knew anything about loans.
So you weren't aware in November of 2018 anything about?
Objection.
He hasn't finished his sentence yet. What's the objection?
Can we approach Judge?
It looks like really bad for like my client, and it's against his civil rights because this is making him look bad, and he's not a moron. I think it's the 76th Amendment. She's objecting because this is a terrible damn witness for him, because the state is rightly asking, so you say Paul is a good person, but were you aware that he had stolen X amount of money from his brother? And he's not even letting, or she's not letting him get the entire question out because he probably doesn't know. And so he's going to be like, no, I didn't know that. And the state's going to again say, okay, did you know that he did X, Y, and Z? So it's a perfect way of getting in front of the jury that this is a character witness that brings nothing to this.
Sure, of course.
See, like, this is like really mean. And I'm a woman. This is the kind of female privilege that pisses me off. Because you effing know that it was made a big deal of that she got deputy DA or ADA because she's a lady. She has, a uterus. So yay, uteruses. She broke the glass ceiling. And then she proceeds to be mediocre to the point of parody, beyond parody. Like, if we wrote this as a character in any sort of, even a CW or She-Hulk, people would say this is laughably comical. You're making women look incompetent and stupid, vain, and talking like valley girls. It would piss off women. The way, if I were to write a character for a show, the way she has been acting this entire time, people would say that I'm being, a misogynist. I have internalized misogyny. When in fact, this woman is just a terrible example of a woman. And we've seen a good woman do the state's job. I never think of her as, oh, a lady attorney. No, I think, gosh, that's a competent attorney. With this one, I'm like, oh God, it's a lady attorney.
Doctor, just a couple more questions. What I was asking is it fair to say that
Kim K, don't look so sad. You get to redirect, which I'm sure will be pointless, but God bless you. You do get a second bite at the apple, sweet cheeks. Not that it will be any more successful than the first, but when you bob for apples, make sure to hold your breath because we don't want a drowning.
in November of 2018, you weren't aware of anything regarding Mr. Canero's financial status?
The only thing I did know about was he had a disability policy, because I had one also, and there were very similar disability policies. That's the only thing I knew about.
Okay. You weren't aware of any phone calls the night before November 19th between Keith and Paul?
No, not at all.
I just wanted to, because you mentioned you knew Keith Caneiro, Jennifer, Sophia, and Jesse, correct?
Yes.
Doctor, I just want to show you what's been marked as S2 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a picture of Keith, Jennifer, Jesse, and Sophia.
Can I have that promise, please? Doctor, just now that it's in front of the jury, can you just tell us what that picture shows and who that is?
Keith, Jennifer, Sophia, and Jesse.
Now, I do want you to pay attention. Again, this is what Keith looked like. He did not have any hair on his head. If you go back to that frosted garage door on Keith's property where, oh, well, the slime made my fingers dark. That's interesting. But he was bald and he wasn't as tall as Paul. So unless they bring Corey after these two witnesses, I don't want to hear any more from the defense.
Keith, describe his hair for me.
Sparse.
Okay. You gotta have shaved head. You gotta have shaved head, right?
Yes.
So the state has been listening to Mo's to my streams, and I'm like, Keith was bald. He definitely wasn't the one fiddling with his own, garage door. Please show a picture of Corey. Let Corey be fucking bald too. And let us slay the defense's case on victim or on witness one. Granny Smith, I am not sure. I tend not to try to dig into the victims' families' lives. I feel like they've been affected enough. And with recent revelations about hidden true crime and how awful she was to allegedly two victims' families, I've always felt it was a little gross to try to. If I ever had a victim's family reach out and want to talk to me, I would of course honor that request. But it's always just struck me as incredibly crass to try to look them up. So I don't know. They might be on an opposite side of where Paul's family is sitting. I would laugh my tits off. Let Corey come in and he's Jason Momoa from Moana. He's like, do I look like the butthole that was in the camera? No, you're welcome. Should I been implicated in this case? No, the evidence didn't point to you. You're welcome.
Okay, and Paul has hair, correct?
Yes,
And he's had hair as long as you knew him, right?
yes.
And Corey had a shaved head like that, right? Like Keith?
Pretty much the whole time I knew him, yes.
You giblet head, state as a juror at this point, I am raising my hand. Can we be done with the defense? Yes. Okay, you guys, no offense to anyone and on a total detour, because let's be real, we're not losing anything by pausing the defense's case. I have had the audio earworm of Ordinary in my head for like 3 days, and it's just now flipped to oh gosh, I think it was called I don't remember, but the 500 Miles song. So thank Jesus, because I can actually deal with that being an audio earworm for a while. Ordinary was starting to make me want to question my sanity.
Judge, can we just approach this?
Sure, can we turn the lights back on, please?
Tristan is like, this is like illegal against my case because we don't know if allegedly Corey even has hair now. We haven't talked to a barber. Paul, you should have taken a plea. Sorry. I will say I get that in my head too, and it's hard not to sing Six Pack Jesus in the middle of a rural Walmart in Indiana, but I don't want to be sprayed with holy water. I love this. This witness also reminds me of Master of Disguise. Am I not turtley enough for the Turtle Club? I mean, if you imagine him bald, he is the turtle guy from Master of Disguise. Dana Carvey, can we have another Wayne's World before you shuffle off this mortal coil? You can have Mike Myers in it as long as he keeps his mouth shut about anything political. I respect both of you as adult pretenders and funny people. I don't need to hear your commentary on current political things. Okay? But I would like to see another Wayne's World. A good one. Not a crap one. And now I have she's chopping broccoli in my head. Yes! Oh my God, the
I just want to show you what's been marked as S501. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, who's in that picture?
Raise this up. Paul with his daughter, Katie.
Okay.
And either Minky or Kaya, one of the dogs.
One of the dogs. Did you know the dogs?
Yes.
They bark?
Not much.
Okay. Now, Does that, and I'm asking you whether you know, because you know them, does that appear to be a picture from the time frame that we're discussing, November of 2018 or somewhere in that time frame?
I couldn't tell you because it may have been before then.
Okay.
It may have been before then.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not that's what Mr. Caneiro looked like back in 2018, 2017?
I got to be honest, I don't have the memory to go back that far to know how he dressed.
He's your bestest friend. You guys are always on your pergolas back and forth through the backyard. Not that I'm implying anything, but you do know your way around a speculum, sir. Allegedly in Minecraft. Though you probably didn't heat it up for Paul either, and I appreciate the consistency. You keep those mother effers cold for Paul too. I have my... How is it you had a great memory of all the barbecues and your kids were running back and forth? You know, you had a slip and slide. You know, the wives were kvetching on the porch. And now suddenly you're like, look, I'm not a rememberologist. I'm just a doctor who delivers babies. I can't remember stuff.
At that point, but I do know that's him, that's his daughter. I'll say, based on the daughter's age, she was probably in her early 20s.
Okay, and that's their deck, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
And the pergola would be back there. So you can see the
God, no one
pergola.
cares about your pergola. What the hell? Did you make the pergola yourself? Are you just proud you had like one crafty moment and you did it? What the hell is up with him continuing to do the freaking... it was a pergola, I swear. I'm gonna call it a gazebo just to piss you off. Stop gazebo bragging. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Thank you.
Doctor, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Any redirect? Okay.
Doctor, you mentioned obviously Sophia and Jesse as well just now, and I think the prosecutor talked to you a little bit about them. What was Paul's relationship with Jesse and Sophia?
Very good.
No, fuck this. No, I don't want to listen to this heifer. No, you guys, I'm sorry, but I will not. I will not listen to this woman try to elicit that he was the greatest uncle ever. Not after Wednesday. And if you don't think this is going to piss off the jury, I warned them. I told them that the entire playing field had changed. And this is how you want to play this? Good luck. You're playing checkers with people that are playing chess.
You know, by the time Jesse and Sophia were...
Sorry, you guys. I can't. I really... Maybe with the wife, I can't listen to this man fangirl about Paul. What in the coffee talk is this?
Say who you called? You didn't say who you called.
Miss Pambold.
Miss Pambold? Okay, ma'am, come on up. Just watch your step, please. If you could do me a favor, could you put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand?
Ma'am, were you aware this was going to be televised? You decided that a beige shirt with little hearts that look like bleach stains is what you were going to wear? Oh, good God. Okay, I'm imagining a voice that sounds like she smoked at least 75 Virginia Slims a day. Look, it was the 80s, honey. We had hot. We had hair, Aquanet. Forget about it. Dear God, this is going to be insufferable. Let's get through this together.
For me, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, get yourself seated and comfortable. And once you are, can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Pamela Gould, Gould.
Ma'am, I'm just going to ask you to do me one favor. During the course of your testimony, please keep your voice up. Jurors number 15 and 16 in the back corner over there, they need to hear you.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you. Ms. Massalone, go ahead.
She has a very odd wrinkle pattern. So again, this is part of my tismy thing because I am no longer treating this like a serious trial where I have to pay attention. But notice, because this is the kind of thing that bothers the heck out of me, it tends to draw me right out. Come on, move. I need you to move back. You stupid son of a. Okay, so she has a wrinkle line going down on this side of her face, but one is not here. So I'm wondering if she had a stroke or something, or possibly a wound. But it is odd to not have usually because she has fairly symmetrical features. So I would assume that maybe she does this thing like I do. But, and again, these are just things that I go all Dr. House. I'm like, ooh, I wonder if she had a stroke. And that's what my brain would be thinking about instead of talking to you, which is why I don't people well. Because then I just want to pop out with, did you have a stroke? And I know that's not what is supposed to happen. And I find that now that I have more brain fog, I tend to ask those tismy questions. And I never want to hurt anyone's feelings, so I try to not.
In 16 in the back corner over there, they need to hear you.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you. Ms. Massalone, go ahead.
Good morning. Ms. Gould, can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good morning. My name is Pam Gould, officially Pamela, but I use Pam.
And what is your current occupation?
I am retired.
And what's your educational background?
I graduated from Montclair State College in December of 1984 with a bachelor's in business administration.
And are you married to Dr. Jack Gould, who we just heard from?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously we just heard from your husband, so we already have, background, that you and your husband were neighbors with the Caneros for many years. So I just want to focus on the nature of your relationship with them.
Okay.
Generally, can you describe your relationship with Paul and his family and how it developed over time?
We were very, very close for 25 years or so when we were back neighbors. They moved in about 6 months after we did. Our children are all about a year staggered apart. So the kids became fast friends, and we became fast friends. Over the years, we became closer and closer, really extended family.
And again, do not put yourself in the family category with Paul. Again, why the hell do these people keep saying this? That is the danger zone. Like, let's say that even in your heart of hearts, you don't think that Paul did this. There has to be a part of you that thinks, you know what? I'm glad I was just his friend. Also, ma'am, okay, your foundation is way too dark for you. Go to Sephora, get yourself some purple corrector, some purple, oh God, what is that stuff called? Concealer. So I learned this because even though, and again, I ask for everyone in humanity because I am being forced to learn how to girl and do these tutorials. Why? Why must every tutorial do one of these things? I've got a new product. Who decided this clickety-clackety thing? I am here like a woman on a mission. Look, I am here to learn makeup. I don't care about the clickety-clack. I just need you to explain this war paint, spackle, primer, sanding shit to me, okay? That's all I need you to do. And possibly make it so I can do winged eyeliner that are in the same family, not distant, unrelated cousins. I don't need the clickety-clackety. I don't. I really, really don't.
What kind of things did your family and the Canero family do together?
A lot of hanging out in our backyards, but we also vacationed together, dinners out, dinners in.
Ted Bundy joined the Mormon church in Utah and in fact had the church pull together, say he was a great guy and tried to get him bail until everyone saw what the victims looked like. Things were a little looser as far as not leaking autopsy photos. Then all the Mormons kind of said, not our circus, not our monkey. He's kind of new here.
Movies. We went to a couple Broadway shows, traveled a couple times together as families, lots of barbecues in our backyards.
So did you consider yourself and your family close to the Canero family?
Extremely.
Okay. And did you consider them like family?
Absolutely. Extended family for sure.
And in the Canero family, who were you? How often would you see the Caneros?
Susan and I spent much more time together than with the kids when they were younger, but Susan and I would spend maybe 2-3 days a week together, sometimes more. In the summer, we would just be out in the yard with the kids, but on average, probably 2 to 3 times a week.
Were there times when you would see her more than that?
Yeah, for sure. In the summers, we would basically see almost daily. If the weather was good, we'd be outside with kids playing. They had a pool, we had a pool. We would go back and forth between the two yards.
And since you were close with Susan and Paul and their family, and spent a lot of time together, including the summer barbecues and things of that nature, did you also have the occasion?
Oh my God, defense, ask a relevant question. Like, so did Jennifer know about the Colombian side piece and she was totally okay with Paul paying the rent and the, lease for the Aldi or for the Audi, not the Aldi? Yeah, pretty much we learned that Corey had a shaved head and the asshole that we saw in front of the garage had, well, Paul's haircut. Isn't that a coinkadink?
To spend time with Keith and Jennifer Caneiro and their family?
Yes.
And can you explain how you came to know them?
Well, they were always present for Christmas Eve, was always at the Caneiro house. So Keith and Jen were always there with some other people, on and off, whoever it was that year, but they were there every year for Christmas Eve. And then when we would just be in the yard, if it was a barbecue or one of the kids' birthdays or a 4th of July weekend holiday, they would come over and spend the day in the yard with the Caneiro family and my family.
Now, I think it will be interesting to see the way that the wife reacts to a picture of Keith and Jennifer and the kids. We didn't see a real change, but I think we will see with this woman because, again, it's that internal mother thing. Being a doctor, maybe, and an OB, unfortunately, there are times when children don't survive, sadly, heartbreakingly. And as an OB, you have to kind of distance yourself a little. What will be interesting to see if she can distance herself when the state starts to bring the reality of what happened up. Because I have a feeling her husband didn't crack, but she will. Again, defense, this was a terrible idea. You put a mom on the screen and you tell her that little innocent babies passed away. It breaks something inside you. You don't have to know those kids. Hell, I didn't know anything about these children. And it broke something inside me for a little bit. So I expect she's going to break.
And so based on how well you knew the Caneiro family, how would you describe Paul?
Paul is very intelligent, very well read, sometimes opinionated, but a very kind, giving soul.
And would you consider him?
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, Paul, do you think this makes it look good? Let me explain to you what you've done this entire case. And then like one little feel bad for me. Can I hug my family? No. And now you're over here. Sir, if you weren't mother effing guilty before, I am voting for the death penalty at this point. Keep smirking, you son of a bitch. Again, now the jury will not be punishing the lawyers. Well, he cried during Jesse. Notice he didn't cry during Sophia. And that just strikes me as incredibly interesting in a psychological point of view. But it does explain why Sophia was attacked so violently. I don't know if he felt bad about Jesse, but not Sophia. But there's something broken in this man. And if you don't think the jury is watching him, because I am a people watcher, and again, the jury has probably given themselves the at least upper level function fuck off. So, basically they're listening to the testimony, paying attention if anything relevant should happen. But if you don't think that they have fucked right on off after you asked Dr. Doolittle if he was a good uncle, ma'am, whatever potential you had, whatever potentiality you had for creating a case for Paul was lost when you asked that question.
Like a helpful person?
Extremely helpful. He would offer up advice and physical help whenever there was a problem with our pool or our internet, which I'm sure my husband spoke about,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
You mentioned, what was his demeanor like? What was his demeanor like?
He was very jovial and even-tempered.
Even-tempered?
Even-tempered, yes. Never.
Okay, she doesn't. So she's holding together right now, but you can tell she's very, very nervous. Her shoulders are drawn up. She has probably internally realized that Paul is probably the one that's done this. And it's a sickening feeling. I am sure she's struggling with the reality, the fact that she didn't know what he was capable of and what he was capable of doing. But I think she's much more ready to face reality than her husband was. And that's the other reason I say she's going to break. And it might be ugly.
Saw him lose his temper, yell, scream, nothing like that.
And based on how well you knew Paul and Keith and the interactions, like the frequency you would see them and your interactions with them, I want to ask you about the nature of their relationship. How would you describe Keith and Paul's relationship?
Very close. Very close.
And can you explain more about that?
Paul was very protective of Keith, took care of Keith, that I saw personally, but we also heard stories.
He wasn't protective, he was controlling. Keith was Paul's golden goose. He didn't want anyone else taking that potential fortune away from him. He was a gatekeeper. He was just like an abusive partner who, says, oh, well, they're kind of busy. I'm the best for them. He was gatekeeping. He wasn't being protective. He was being manipulative and making sure that he kept a close enough eye on Keith that Keith didn't notice what he was doing. Because I'm guessing this theft, this embezzlement, it was omnipresent from the time they started businesses. Little and little at first, but you don't steal $78,000 from a trust fund unless you've stolen little amounts and you've gotten confident that you can do it and get away with it.
Of when they were growing up.
So I don't want to elicit any hearsay, nothing that anyone else said.
Okay.
Just based on your personal knowledge and what you know and what you've observed and what you've seen, is there anything else that you can tell us about just, either the bond between Keith and Paul or how close they were, things of that nature?
They were very close. They spent a lot of time together, obviously working together, but also outside of work. They spent a lot of time together.
And what about when Keith went back to school?
Paul was 100% supportive.
And do you have any knowledge of how Paul and Keith might typically handle disagreements with each other?
I believe they talked them out, never saw anything physical. Sometimes it would get a little contentious or tense, but it was always hashed out, and then they would pick up where they left off, go get something for lunch or dinner, and have a laugh.
And I also want to ask you about Paul and his relationship with Jesse and Sophia. How would you describe that?
Fine. We're going to let her ask the question. I cannot believe she's asking it again. I really can't.
Paul loved those kids like his own, especially had a very close bond with Jesse.
And when you say a close bond with Jesse, are you...
Again, there's this overwhelming emotional response when Jesse is mentioned, but nothing when the other ones are mentioned. Not even his brother, who he was so close to. We didn't see a tear pop out of his little fat eyeball, and roll down into his sweater vest. Damn waste of a tear. This is a weird trait I've noticed. He really seemed attached to Jesse, but not so much any of the other members of the family.
Aware of any specific things that they would do together?
I know they did lunch dates from time to time, and you could just see the bond when they were together.
Do 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 do. Nope. No. Don't take it away. I'm making a masterpiece out of a crapter piece. Gonna give him a little goatee. And as we remember what Paul will be doing during prison, do 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 do. And a Gentile. Don't want them to feel left out in the circle, Paul. And a Catholic. There you go. He really will be in the center of a circle, Paul, in prison.
They would just connect.
And are you aware of any renovations that Paul and Susan had to the house?
Yes.
And what was the approximate time frame of the renovations?
It was over the course of a couple of years. I don't remember what years those were, but it was over the course of a few years.
Was it like closer to, if you can just approximate, was it like after 2015 or around that time or
Probably
closer-
around 2015.
Around then?
I think so.
And you said over the course of a few years?
A couple of years, yeah.
Okay. And can you tell us, whatever, based on your knowledge, like what do you know about the renovations?
It was a full house reno, done room by room. Bathrooms, kitchen, new floors, sheetrock, moldings, everything.
Wait a minute. They invested money in that house and didn't decide to fix the dated exterior that screams early 90s? Okay, and you continue to claim that Paul is smart, defense? It's honestly because that's the color up there, and I need to fiddle with it more to figure out how to change colors. It's simply blue because that's what it landed on, and I have to fiddle with it to figure out changing colors.
Was replaced and updated.
And how did Paul, like when he would talk about the renovations, how did he express himself? Without saying what he said, but what was your general impression?
Oh, he was very excited. He was very involved he did a lot of research on all the products, and he was very excited about updating everything and like to talk about it.
I don't care if he watched every single episode of Trading Spaces and thought Hildy's designs were great. What does this have to do with whatever the fuck, actually, what in the nebulous fuck does this have to do with the trial? I don't care if he hand sanded a bunch of, virgin bamboo and planked it himself.
A lot.
And was there anything,
Sorry.
are you aware of a backpack that Paul typically had?
I know he had a backpack, yes.
Okay, and do you know where he kept it over?
I believe it stayed in the car most of the time.
So he consistently had a go bag. Screams innocent.
And I want to draw your attention to November 19th of 2018. Do you remember that?
I do.
And what, if anything, was special about that day?
That was my birthday.
And did you do
Defense, why are you doing this? This woman, I feel the same way about dragging this woman up there that I do about Uvalde, the state, bringing the, people, because you saw an instant change in her posture. I want you to go back because, again, I'm not a bodyologist, but I want you to watch when the defense says, I want you to direct your attention to the date of the incident. Watch how her posture goes.
And I want to draw your attention to November 19th of 2018.
She instantly turtles. Again, this is a self-soothing thing. This is looking away. She's not making eye contact with the defense attorney anymore. She knows. which is why I said she was going to break. I just didn't think the defense was going to be the one that was going to make her break. It's a bold strategy, Cotton, here on, SPN the Ocho, from the Zoolander School of Law for kids that don't read good. This lawyer.
Remember that?
I do.
And what, if anything, was special about that day?
That was my birthday.
And did you do anything that day to celebrate it with anyone in the Caneiro family?
Susan came over in the afternoon and we had a cup of tea.
And do you know around what time that was?
Probably around 2:30 or so till about 4:30.
And to your knowledge, where was Paul at that time?
He was sleeping.
Okay. And do you know, to your knowledge, do you know why?
Objection.
Sustained. I'm sorry, come on up.
Jesus, defense. God dang it. The defense is going to add a hearsay question, ask a hearsay question. Chiblet, this is your own witness. Where's the Major Payne? I need a Major Payne moment. 1 second, because it's also one of my favorite movies. Let's see if I can. I need something that'll make me feel better. All right, now. What? Who the?
Hey ho, sir!
I'm glad to see you got a sense of humor.
Damon Wayans, what are you doing right now? I need you to dress up as Major Payne, and I need you to kick the verbal asses of this defense. Can someone dress up as Major Payne and go yell at the defense?
So do I.
I am so watching Major Payne tonight. I love it when a plan comes together.
Based on how well you knew the Caneiro family, was it usual or unusual, either way, for Paul to be sleeping around that time?
It happened periodically. It wasn't a daily thing, but it did happen periodically.
Okay. And do you know why?
Objection.
Don't answer that. Ladies and gentlemen, can you go in the jury room for a second, please?
I love Major Payne. It is one of my favorite movies, y'all. Like, if I'm in a bad mood and I need to feel better, that is the movie that I watch. Okay, Judge Kim K, and not in the Ray J way. We don't need a video, but verbally eviscerate her. Oh, I need this. I need another thing. Come on, internet. Okay. All right. Judge.
Finish him!
I need to figure out how to download that onto a board thingamabob.
Everybody can be seated. And so for the record, we're outside the presence of the jury. And how do you know that he would be sleeping at times during the day?
It would tell me.
Right. And as to why he would be sleeping, how would you know that information?
Susan would tell me that he was having a headache.
Okay. All right. So that's all hearsay. I'm not going to allow those questions to be asked. So Ms. Massalone, I said it already at sidebar. We went back to it again. I'm ordering you not to do that, to go down that line of questioning now that we know for sure. We've heard the answer from the juror.
Oh my God, are we starting with these witnesses because the wife wants to not testify? The wife's like, fuck you, Paul. I saw your side piece.
We will allow the direct to continue. I heard one go into the bathroom, so we'll just check that. As soon as they're not in the bathroom anymore, we'll bring them back out, okay? All right.
Can I just put my position on the record, which is simply that even if it is hearsay, it falls under the exception of state of mind and present medical condition. I understand the court had a prior ruling with respect to
Like present medical condition, does Paul have how you get this in, dum-dum, is that you would bring Paul's doctor. If he has documented medical records of having chronic migraines, you can bring in that present medical history. Now, the fact that a twice college dropout, am explaining how you should do your job is really an indictment on you.
the time frame of when Keith was on the phone with Paul that evening, and the court had a concern, I guess, about the issue of reliability, but I think asking this witness generally over time why Mr. Caneiro would be typically sleeping at a certain time during the day, and referencing like a medical issue, that was the reason, that there is an issue of reliability, because there's no reason for, like, that's the whole purpose of hearsay, is we don't want to elicit statements out of court that are unreliable, but this would be a reliable statement because we're just talking about generalities and over time, and this is earlier in the day, so I don't, even if it is hearsay, I think it does fall under it.
God, she thinks she's making a point. Has she been checked for like lesions on her brain or possibly a tumor near her frontal lobe? I have never been more mystified as to how someone so inept could rise to a position of power than I am right now. I'm actually gobsmacked.
Exception, and that's there.
Ms. Wallace, do you want to respond?
There's a statement submitted is hearsay that doesn't fall under the state of mind exception because the state of mind would not be relevant to anything. It's squarely hearsay. The defense filed 1,000 motions over the summer that this could have been hashed out then. The state filed motions to bring in certain hearsay that were heard. The state's position is that this does not fall under state of mind evidence.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to hold it against the defense for not bringing this out based upon a certain case law that exists. However, I do agree that under the state of mind exception to the hearsay rule, I do not find this to be relevant to the circumstances here. I find that whether it's reliable or not, that's not the reason that the court is not going to be allowing this
Sorry,
information.
Kim.
The question really is for this court is, what is the relevance to this information as it relates to this case? I don't find it to, one, be relevant, nor, number two, do I find it fits under the exception of the state of mind and or any other hearsay exception. So therefore, I'm not going to allow that question to be asked. And ma'am, I'm going to also order you, now you're hearing me saying what I'm saying, you are not allowed to just elicit or just say that information.
Okay.
Because I'm saying right now that that information should not go before the jury, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that. So as soon as we have our jurors ready, we'll bring them back out. And
So we were discussing November 19th of 2018, and it was your birthday. And later that night, did you celebrate your birthday?
Yes.
Okay. And then what's the next thing that happened after that?
Katie, Mr. Caneiro's daughter, called us at shortly after 5 in the morning to tell us that there was a fire at their house and we should get our dogs and get out of the house in case there was a chance of it jumping to our house.
Okay. And did you see the Caneiro family at all that morning?
I did not.
Okay. And what was the reason for that?
We couldn't get to them through the backyard because of all of the fire activity. We couldn't get around on the street side because it was all blocked off.
And did Susan spend the night with you that night?
Yes.
And obviously a lot of time has passed since November of 2018. Are you still close with the Caneiro family?
Yes, very much.
Thank you.
Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Ms. Gould. Good morning. Just a couple of questions.
You indicated that you would see Mr. Caneiro and interact with his brother and Jennifer and the kids on occasions?
Yes.
And I think you indicated that those would be, or maybe you didn't, but what kinds of occasions would those be?
Christmas Eve always, and then if there was a birthday party for one of the girls, or a barbecue on the weekend, haphazardly, sometimes a holiday, sometimes just have a barbecue.
Okay, so it was on rare occasions that you would see them interact?
Occasional.
And it would be during happy times, right?
Yes.
Vacations, barbecues, things like that? Yes?
Yes.
Certainly, you didn't know how Keith Caneiro and the defendant interacted with one another when nobody was around, is that correct?
Correct.
You weren't privy to any of their private communications, right?
Private, no.
Or their interactions over the phone?
Personally, no.
No. You were not present for any of their discussions regarding business, right?
Not that I can recall, just
Or any of their disagreements?
casual conversations, but nothing.
You didn't know anything about any financial arrangements that they had, is that correct?
Correct.
You didn't know anything about the defendant's financial situation, is that right?
Yes.
He didn't confide in you about his finances or anything like that? No. And you didn't know about any escalating tensions between Keith and the defendant in 2018, did you?
Go ahead, what's your objection?
She's characterizing it as escalating, and that's argumentative.
Okay, just ask it differently.
Sure. Did you
She's like using adjectives that I don't like, and they're all mean. So, and she said tension, and that's against the vibe.
know anything about any tensions between Keith and his brother Paul in 2018?
No.
You weren't aware of any arguments that they may or may not have had, is that right?
Nothing specific, no.
You weren't aware of any frustrations that Keith may have had with his brother Paul, is that correct?
Objection asked and answered as far as she's not aware of any of these private conversations.
I'm going to allow it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Sure. You weren't aware of any frustrations that Keith may or may not have had with his brother Paul, is that correct?
Correct.
You weren't aware of any future plans that Keith may or may not have communicated to his brother Paul about their businesses, is that correct?
Yes, correct. Correct.
And were you aware of any other financial situations with regard to the defendant being the trustee of an insurance policy?
I do not believe I was aware of that then.
Okay. And is it fair to say you were closer with Susan Caneiro than you were with Paul Caneiro?
Spent more time together, yes.
And in fact, you indicated you saw her on November 19th?
Yes.
You guys had tea together?
Yes.
All right. Did you see the defendant on that date?
I did not.
And certainly you did not see Keith on that date, is that right?
Correct.
And you weren't privy to any phone conversations that the two of them may have had or may not have had, is that correct?
Correct.
You weren't privy to who was angry, is that right?
Objection, again, just this has been established.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Judge, no. We do not encourage negative behavior. If this woman doesn't have a cogent argument except that, like, this is really mean. This has been, like, estabulated, okay? God save me, at least we haven't had to deal with Tristan Esquire III.
The form of that question. So you can ask it differently, but I think
The state is like, okay, Kim K, I'll change a word because I'm able to do that because I'm actually a functional lawyer. I know this would be impossible for you.
that question is improper. Go ahead.
Ma'am, were you aware of any communications that Keith and Paul had on the night of November 19th?
No, I'm not.
So you were not aware of any ultimatums that Keith had given Paul that night?
Yeah, I'm going to sustain the objection. She doesn't know, so she doesn't know. I'm going to leave it there.
You indicated that you were close to Susan Caneiro. Were you aware then that she and the defendant slept in separate bedrooms?
Yes.
Were you aware that Susan actually slept in the master bedroom?
Yes.
Were you aware that the master bedroom right beneath that is the origin of the fire?
Yes.
I have nothing further, Judge.
This woman never thought about it, but yes, Paul tried to kill your best friend, ma'am. I don't know how that never calculated for you, but yeah, that's...
Any redirect?
The summer of 2018, how often would you see Paul and Susan and their families?
The summer of 18, probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay, and how often did you see Keith and Jennifer and their kids?
Over the course of that summer, maybe 3 times.
Okay, and you also, you mentioned holidays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and so you've known the Caneiro family for how long?
Since 1996, so 25 years at the time.
Okay, And obviously, you didn't see Keith and Jennifer and their family as often as you saw Paul and Susan's family, right?
Right.
Okay, but did you see them, like, regularly? How often?
A couple times a year, minimum. 3, maybe 4 times a year.
And that's over the course of 20.
I know more about Kim Kardashian, and I don't even pay attention to her. 3 or 4 times a year doesn't make you a good judge of what is the not, you know, holiday behavior. What is the actual family dynamic between these two brothers? You only have a very surface view. Again, these two witnesses commenting about the relationship between Paul and Keith based on, let's say, 3 times a year for 25 years, that's still seeing him only 75 times.
Something years.
Yes.
And did you ever, even if you weren't present with them, were there occasions where you would just learn things generally, without saying what you learned, just learn things generally about the family?
Like what? Through binoculars when she was looking through the telescope off of their pergola and, you know, trying to listen in on their conversations? What the hell is going on here?
I don't know what. Come on.
What in the weaponized brain rot? If I was a state, I would say, so did Jennifer tell you about Paul's side piece? Was she A-okay with that? Because we've been told that she was A-okay, like, she was awesome with Paul having a Colombian side piece. But you're her friend,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm
so...
going to sustain the objection to that question, but I'm going to allow a new question. Go ahead.
Ms. Gould, did you talk to Susan regularly?
When?
Just generally
Oh,
over the
yes.
course of all the many years you've known
Yes,
her?
absolutely.
And did you also talk to Paul regularly over the course of the many years you've known him?
Less frequently, but regularly, yes.
Regularly?
Yes.
And when you would talk to Susan and Paul, or maybe their children, was a topic of discussion often family?
Periodically, sure.
And there were obviously a lot of questions about what you don't know, right? Was your relationship with Paul and Susan and their family, and Keith and Jennifer, was it more personal or was it business?
Personal.
Okay. And obviously you can only speak to what you know, right?
Yes.
Okay. Based on what you do know, did you ever have any concerns about the relationship between Paul and Keith?
Objection. Sustained. Before that question.
I'll just ask you this one more time. Based on what you do know, how would you describe the closeness of Paul and Keith and their families?
They were very close. Paul loved Keith and Jen and those children.
Thank you.
You can step down, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our mid-morning break right now. Please don't discuss this case, do any research. We'll see you back at about 10:25 or so, depending on when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay. What in the hell is this?
No more coughing.
Okay.
All right, be seated. Thank you. Took something to take care of the cough. No more coughing. You guys can yell at me if I cough again. We're doing this.
Are you taking a cough suppressant? For the love of goodness, could you take a mic suppressant for all of your cough candy wrappers?
All right. So we're back on the record, and we'll continue with the defense's case. The defense can call the next witness.
Judge, the defense is going to call on Mr. Jim Pritchett.
Okay?
This does piss me off. They are habitually late. I don't know why, but it does piss me off. I am always late but it seems a touch disrespectful.
Watch your step as you're coming up here. And then when you get over towards the witness stand, if you could just put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you can take your seat.
Thank you.
Sure. And once you're comfortable, can you tell us your full name and spell your last name, please?
It's James Pritchett. That's P as in Peter, Ritchett.
So I'm just going to ask you to do me one favor. When you speak, please make sure you speak loud enough so that jurors number 15 and 16 can hear you, okay?
I'll try.
Okay. If not, I'll keep an eye on you, all right?
Thank you.
I got you. All right. Ms. Messelin, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Pritchett. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, good morning. I'm James Pritchett, but I go by Jim.
And are you currently working?
I'm retired now.
And what did you do before you retired?
Leading up to retirement, I was in B2B sales for an insurance company, and then before that, I ran a business for Morgan Stanley.
Okay. He reminds me of Corky from that show. What is it? Not Family Matters. I can't remember, but there was a show from the early 90s with Corky in it. And if you know who I'm talking about, it's not a good reference. I'm going straight to hell. But he does remind me of Corky. I'll see myself out. I use the restroom.
And even though you're retired, do you do any type of work currently?
I volunteer. I volunteer at a local community center. I chair a couple of committees and was on the board for a couple of years. I'm also a what's known as a CASA. It's a court-appointed special advocate for children in the New Jersey foster care system.
And what's your educational background?
I have an undergrad degree in psychology, and I have an MBA in finance and investments.
And who do you live with?
I live with my wife, Stacy.
Okay. I want to first talk to you about the Caneiro family. Do you know Paul Caneiro and his family?
Yes.
And other than Paul, who else is in his immediate family?
There's Sue, or Susan, his wife, and his daughters, Katie and Marissa.
And can you tell us a little bit about how you know them?
Yeah, I met them. I met the entire Caneiro family back in 1993. I started dating my wife, and she's very good friends with Susan. And so I started going to different functions that they were having, like different events. They had a barbecue, I think was the first time. And, started hanging out with them over the summer on a pretty regular basis. And then at the end of 93, I was at their house for Christmas Eve.
Okay, and so 1993, approximately how many years is it that you know them?
Probably it'll be about 33 years, sometime in April or May.
Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about how well you know the Caneiro family. You kind of started to go into it, but can you explain to us how over time your relationship with Paul and his family developed?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together. Stacy, my wife, was pretty good friends with Susan, if not best friends, and we would go and hang out with them. We lived in the city, they lived in New Jersey, so it was a good way to escape the city, and we just started talking about things. We had common background. We didn't, kind of blue collar growing up, and so, I grew up in the Bronx. They were from Brooklyn and Staten Island, and we just started hitting it off. So as I started becoming more friendly, it meant that, we were both going out and spending more time.
Okay, I am going directly to Hades, but when this man is on the stand, this is all I'm seeing. So you're going to Hades with me, but this is all I'm seeing. This is all I'm hearing. So if I start laughing, you start laughing too, so I don't feel so terrible about myself.
Information on what they stole? I don't know. But as long as they don't touch the peanut butter, because I did stuff to it.
Okay, I have the maturity of a 12-year-old. I have no idea. I don't know why we're getting his peanut buttery friend. Legitimately, that was all I was saying. I tried to excuse myself to go to the restroom to, get the laugh out, but what the hell is going on here? Defense, I would like you to Carmen Sandiego to a point that would help your client.
Time with them.
And what about your kids? Were your kids and close with the Caneiro kids?
Yeah, they're like family, you know. I've known Katie since she was, I don't know, 2 years old maybe. Marissa since the day she was born, and my girls have known them all of their lives. And given the amount of time that we spend with them, it's a family thing, I suppose.
And over time, what are the
Is it bad that I want to go up next to this witness and drop a bunch of toothpicks because I think that he could count all of them? Look, I'm sorry, but he gives me Rain Man vibes. I just think he'd be really good at counting toothpicks.
different types of activities? You could tell the jury that, you and Paul and Susan and girls and your family, what kind of activities and things would you do, kind of get-togethers, things of that nature?
Lots of barbecues over the summer, I guess, as soon as, it starts off with kind of Katie's birthday, because she was end of April, all the way through the end of the summer, just being down, having barbecues. So and Paul seemed to always love to host, and we were happy to...
What? Paul's an arrogant asshole? Please tell us more. He was boastful? Was he arrogant? And have a wonderful lunch. We will be going until 1, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break to hang out with Mr. Mo, actually get some lunch today. I am trying to be better for my health. So we will be back at 2:30, so we're going to 1:30. Please let Rain Man be off the stand.
Take advantage of that. We were down there so much, probably should have been paying them a rental fee for being there in the summer. Beyond that, birthday parties for all of our kids. We went on vacations together. Went to Spain. Went to our first trip to Disney with our girls was a joint trip with the families. And
I mean this with all due respect, sir. I am sure you had a lovely time at Disney, but what in the nebulous F word does this have to do with your former best friend, I fucking hope? Though, honestly, you are giving me Rain Man vibes, so I wouldn't fault you for not noticing that Paul has no soul. You just don't notice people like that, and that's okay. But why are these people protecting this man? He's not charming. He's instantly off-putting. If I ran into Paul and he had never done what he'd done, I'd still think he was a greasy, oily bohunk, in the same way it was defined in 16 Candles.
And Hershey Park is another one where, we've gone multiple times with them. Even actually taking Katie and Marissa at times where Sue and Paul.
So you're saying Paul liked the fudge roller coaster. Interesting. So would you say Paul liked to pack the fudge? Yeah, this is why I can't be a prosecutor. Because once we enter rampant stupidity, I am going to ask the most stupid question. I will not treat this with respect. I will not treat your case with respect. So I would be asking, I would get contempt of court, but I'd get laughs too.
Didn't go.
And you mentioned earlier that you were living in the city. At some point, did you move to New Jersey?
Oh my God,
we did.
no.
We moved
I don't care. Let's get to the state. Oh my God, did they get they got a sidebar on their own case again.
Paul would sit there and listen to Keith and go through it and kind of explain, well, here's why these things work over there. So again, kind of a complimentary way that they communicated. And,
it was all complimentary until he shot him in the ass and then the head. then annihilated his whole family. But you know, Paul was a really good problem solver before that.
Once they figured out the issue, it was good. You know, I think it was just an interesting way. It's not as corporate, I would say. Like having worked in the corporate world, every idea is great, even though it may not be. But you know, every idea is great, and everybody's opinion matters. But you don't have that same sort of thing in a smaller business, and I think that they were really effective in that sense.
Okay, and as far as their relationship as business partners, how would you describe their partnership?
They were partners. They were equals, I guess. You know, it was a 50-50 partnership in the sense of how they did the business. Paul might have been maybe a little bit more technical than Keith, but they were equals in the business, and that's the reason for a lot of the discussions that they had.
No, they weren't. Paul owned 90% of Square One, the actually more profitable business, and Paul owned 10%. So they weren't 50-50, Rain Man.
And to your knowledge, like, did one brother contribute more than the other? Because you're talking about equals and not saying ownership specifically, but more so just like in the way that they handle.
So we're not like talking about like ownership, because who can own anything on stolen land? Billie Eilish forever. But because, you know, it's wrong to own things. No, the way you would talk about percentages is in terms of ownership.
Business day to day, the activities.
Oh my God. How many times is she gonna call for hearsay on her own damn okay. Oh God, it just keeps going. Come on, state. Oh Lord, another sidebar?
Prestige with that, and Keith felt good about himself doing it. So, and I think Paul felt good for Keith at that point.
And so was Paul supportive?
Absolutely.
Fast forwarding a little bit more, after 2018, do you know who took over the businesses?
Objection.
Relevance, yeah.
Can I see the attorneys? 2018 is a pretty long amount of time.
She's gonna be like, it totally is the relevance because Corey took over, and obviously that makes him all the guilties. I mean, think about it, Your Honor. It's like a conspiracy. We've proven that because he was like a good uncle and stuff. His neighbors said so. How do you get this many sidebars on your own case? This woman's going to be a judge one day. You know it. You know she's a woman. She's going to fail upwards, and they're going to celebrate it. And then when she gets disbarred as the first incompetent female judge in New Jersey, it'll be a great step forward for women. It's women like her. Again, I'm a feminist and I broke the glass ceiling, that are so inherently unqualified that it makes it so much harder for other women, for other smart, intelligent women to get a foot in the door. Women that won't use their gender at all, just want to be seen as a person who does competent work. And women like you are what makes everyone, you know, wonder if a female in a company is a diversity hire. It's not men giving us a bad name. It's women like you. And Melanie Little, if you're going to say I have internalized misogyny, we can have a conversation. But it is women like this who shout their femininity and use it as a personality characteristic and a shield when they're simply incompetent and get promoted, that give the general impression that any woman who is in a position didn't get it by merit. And that's insulting. because women like this put women back so much more than any male attitudes. I'm just mad because I'm a bigger misogynist than Baker, and no one's ever called me on my misogyny. And honestly, if you want to know who hates women the most, apart from gay men in the fashion industry, it's other women. Oh, good God. How long did the judge take to try to explain things to Kim K? Where the hell did Kim K go? Oh, did she have to pee? Did she have to cry in the bathroom? Judge Ken, again, I'm just saying you have the power. You can finish her fatality. Oh my God, there's another sidebar before lunch, you guys. And it looks like go off screen for a while. Oh, the judge is not happy.
Right. Ms. Vassalone, when you're ready.
Mr. Pritchett, just a few more questions. So, I think the question you left off was after.
Ma'am, this seems like a challenge you're giving yourself that you're not going to win. But let's see how this goes. Will she be able to land the dreaded, triple Lutz, triple hat trick question? Let's see how it goes.
November 20th of 2018, who took over Keith and Paul's businesses?
Corey Caneiro did.
And how do you, how soon after November 20th of 2018 did that happen?
Within days.
Christine, I believe that I have one for 99 cents a month. I tried to put one for the lowest, and I think the next one up is like $2.99. Up until this, past year when I've been trying to be really good with musings and coming up with member stuff, I just haven't been as dedicated to it. So I always kept my memberships really low because I really wasn't offering all that much. So I believe they're 99 cents for the lower one.
Now, obviously, a lot of time has passed since 2018. Are you still close with the Caneiro family today?
I am.
Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly go the years. One season turning to another, a friendship with felony and fear. Join us for Murderer on the Roof with Mo.
Thank you.
Cross.
Pritchett, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Just want to ask you, those questions you were just asked. I mean, somebody had to take over the businesses, right? To make sure that people got paid and customers got serviced, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you talked.
State, I dare you, get some paper clips, drop them right next to him and ask him how many there are. Give him like a second. Again, this is why I can't be a lawyer, because when I have given myself permission and when I realize that the other side has decided to treat this as a farce, I am going full farcical to show my disrespect for your entire thing. I am treating you like a kindergartner finger painting over the Mona Lisa.
About a couple times you talk about how Keith and Paul they were partners, right?
Yes.
They were partners in Square One, right?
Yes.
And also in EcoStar, right?
Yes.
And you also referenced when you said partners, you said 50-50, right?
Yeah, in terms of being equals, I don't know if there's a partnership mix or anything like that. I just know that they behave as equals.
Okay, they behave as equals, correct? Are you saying you don't know who owned what with, let's just say, Square One in particular? Who won what percentage?
No,
You don't know?
I don't.
Okay. And EcoStar, you don't know either?
No.
Now, you were talking about the home bell office, Square One, right? That was a while ago, right?
They were there in 2010.
Yeah, 2010, and then they moved to the Asbury Park office later, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So were you saying that you were using an office in just Asbury Park or in both?
Actually, both.
Okay. What year did you retire?
Officially last year in 2025.
Now, you were asking questions about Paul being very level-headed, right?
Yes.
You said that, right? And you said Keith was more emotional, right?
Yes.
Kind of always knew what he was thinking based upon the way he interacted, correct?
Yes.
You said something about he wore his emotions on his sleeve, right?
Yes.
Okay, did you ever, strike that, did you ever have the opportunity to view text messages or chats between Keith and Paul?
No.
You didn't read their messages, right?
No.
You didn't read the emails from Keith to Paul and Paul to Keith, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you weren't privy to their phone calls, right?
No.
Each other?
No.
Okay, like you weren't overhearing Keith call Paul or Paul call Keith, right?
I might have, but nothing specific.
You described Mr. Caneiro, Paul Caneiro, as being loyal, correct?
Yes.
You also said at times he was always giving, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you're not aware of any times that he was actually taking?
Objection.
I'm
gonna allow it.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Were you ever made aware of times when Paul Caneiro was taking financially from Keith Caneiro?
Objection.
I'm gonna allow it.
No.
You said no?
I said no. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Honestly, I just wasn't sure.
Somebody coughed. And it wasn't me this time.
Judge, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
May I redirect?
Judge, can we approach?
Sure you can.
You brought in people that didn't know anything about the business. Where are you going with this?
Mr. Pritchett, the prosecutor asked you, whether someone had to take over the businesses, right? But it didn't have to be Corey, right? It could have been someone else.
I am utterly. She thinks this is going well for her. I have never seen someone more oblivious to how she is perceived. She is on Sarah Boone levels. I have never seen someone so completely oblivious to how things are going. It's quite remarkable. It's almost like so fascinating. I want to study it.
Yes, in all honesty, I was a little bit surprised.
Sir, that's the answer to the question. It's either yes or no. Somebody else could have taken it over?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to strike the part after the word yes, it could have been somebody else.
And to your knowledge, over the course of the, let's say, starting in the 2000s, from 2000 up until 2018, like those 18 years, did Corey have anything to do with the business?
No. Corey had been brought in a couple of times, I know, by Keith and Paul into the business, but it didn't really work out, and they wind up having to.
They can't bring him, Sebastian, because all the state has to ask is, did you have your head shaved during 2018? And he'll say, yeah, here's a picture of me all through the month of November with my head shaved. I am never seen a defense so moronic. Daryl Brooks at least tried to blame God in a car warranty, and there was a certain amount of logic to that. I mean, it was dumb logic, it was stupid, but it did follow a logical pathway. dare I say it, that Daryl Brooks would have been a better representative than this team?
Let him go from that.
And was this prior to 2000?
Probably late 90s and then maybe early 2000s. I try to cut lose a couple of instances.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right, sir, you can step down. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
All right, guys, we are going to stop here. We will come back at 2:30. Looks like we have another character witness, dear Lord. Then it looks like we go on lunch break. I have really absolutely no clue what is going on here, but I'm here for it. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen and going to make him triple guilty. So keep going, Kim K. You're doing fantastic for the state. You did realize that you were working for the defense on this case, right, sweetie? Sweetie, blink twice if you understand what I'm saying. I just fear that she's having like intermittent TVAs or mini strokes. Do we think he needs a bow tie or a bolo? I say a David Carradine. Or was it Richard Carradine? Look, whoever played in the Kill Bill movies and liked to, asphyxiate himself for a little fun time. That's the kind of tie I'd like him to see. Allegedly in Minecraft. But I'm going to, Mr. Mo wants me to see what he's been constructinating, and I am going to go praise him for constructinating. So I will be back at 2:30, and we will finish the rest of this. There we go. David Carradine. But that would be the kind of accoutrement, an ascot, if you will. But I will see you guys in just a little bit. Thanks for hanging out and witnessing this whatever this is. This is a real something. So we will be back to see whatever in the hell the defense is going to do next. It really is like a rainbow full of stupid, and we just don't know what color of the dumb she can paint with all the colors of moron. She can own the world, and still all she owns is stupid until she can paint with all the colors of moronic. Dumahantis from Disney and Pixar Features. It'll be a great thing. Bye, you guys.